What is going on, guys? It's your boy HQ420. Welcome y'all back another episode of Showtime with the Cube. As always, I've got the powerful one with me, Corey Hughes. Corey, you're doing good tonight.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes,
That's great.
yes.
That's what we like to hear. I'm doing very well myself. We may have a special guest with us, Ryder Lee. Y'all remember that guy? He may come around. He may not. He said he was going to be here, but we're going to go on with the show anyway. Appreciate everybody for checking us out so far. If you're looking at us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, listen to us on podcast platforms, hit the follow button there. Appreciate everybody who's been checking us out so far. So today, we've got Dune Part 2. Oh, and what do you know? Hey, Ryder Lee, we were just saying that you may be joining us, and he is in here, the infamous one. Ryder, are you good? You good tonight?
What's up, Cube? Good to see you.
Doing well. Glad to see you back amongst the living.
That's right. You know how we do. Get in here talking about some movies and some good stuff. So I'm excited to speak about it.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so Dune Part 2, that's what we're going to be covering for y'all today. We've got Corey and Ryder watching on IMAX, correct? Y'all IMAXed it? Okay.
Well, I originally went and seen it in regular theaters, and then I was like, this isn't good enough. I got to go. And Corey wanted to see it. He hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, bro, let's go to the IMAX. I didn't think that there was any IMAXs in our area. I thought we would have to go to Denver or something, but there's one that's just 30 minutes away, and we went, and mind-blowing, dude. It's so amazing. Did you see it in IMAX?
There's not an IMAX in my area yet. There won't be an IMAX. They just redone what used to be the Regal Theater. They closed that down. And then now it's the Golden Ticket, which I've never heard of them. But they're still working on their IMAX section. I believe they're open now, but they're working on their IMAX section, but it won't be open until winter.
I just want to say that they tried really hard to destroy movies during COVID. That's obvious. They wanted to just take a wrecking ball to the whole industry. They was putting Dune 1 was on fucking Cinemax like day one, right? Like, how fucked is that? And I'm glad to see that, like, we went and the movie was pretty goddamn full. I'd say it was like 80% full when we went. So, yeah, it was a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really full. It was really nice. Do they give golden showers along with the golden ticket as well, kid?
I haven't been there, but you know, no golden showers. I don't think. Okay.
Hey, that's the 4D experience, right? You want the golden showers along with the golden tickets.
You got to minus some of those D's, okay? Get some of the D's out of there. Just carry your own D. We'll leave the other D's out. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this. Dune Part 2. Y'all want to do just a quick synopsis of Dune Part 1, then we'll jump into Dune Part 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that right quick. So I know Corey is our resident. I don't know, Ryder, if you've read the books. Have you read the books?
No, I have not. I'm just in love with the movies.
Okay, so Corey is our resident expert, Dune expert. So with the first movie, Corey, was it pretty close to the way the book portrayed it?
Yeah, that's the one thing about this and even the 1984 version of the movie Dune was pretty damn close to the books. The only thing, like, I'll tell you is that, like, when he drinks the water of life and goes off in his trip, like, they spend like 50 pages of him like tripping out in the fucking desert, philosophizing about shit. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of that in the book, a lot of philosophizing, right? There's all kinds of that none you can't put into the movie, right? Because what they tried to do in the original Dune movie was whenever it came to like someone's thoughts or they were doing something that wasn't acted out, they had it as like a whisper, like the person was like whispering a narration, and it actually kind of pulled it off somewhat okay. They didn't try to do that in this movie, and there's a lot of stuff in the book that is, I mean, you got the whole story, but you know, if you want the color and the background and the philosophy and where he pulls a lot of the stuff from, like you'll get a lot of that in the book. But no, overall the storyline is pretty good. One thing I was saying to Ryder was that they'll say things very quickly under their breath, and most people will miss it. and it'll end up being something pretty important, right? So there was a lot of subtlety to the movie that I think required people watching the movie multiple times to kind of catch it all. And so,
Okay.
but yeah, it was very close. They did a very good job. Here's my only problem, and this is me bitching because this is I'm never going to get this, but seeing actors who I am familiar with broke the immersion for me, right? That's it. That's the only thing. But you can't have a movie like this without big actors in it because that's what sells the goddamn movie, right? So you're in a catch-22. But I would have loved to have seen a bunch of people I didn't know who they were, right? Because then you could truly get immersed in the story. But seeing like fucking Aquaman as Duncan Idaho was
right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to
Josh
see
Brolin, Hellboy.
although
Wait,
I
wasn't
love
he
Josh
Hellboy?
Brolin. Yeah, and he was in
Was he Hellboy? Okay.
Men in Black 3. That's like my
Yep.
favorite movie with him in it. And so but yes, it'd be nice to see that, with a bunch of nobodies so you can get truly lost in the characters. But no, overall
Gotcha.
it was done well, it was acted well.
Okay.
Yeah, what is it? Brolin played Gurney Halleck. Did a good
Yeah.
job in that.
Yeah.
So
So Dune Part 1, leading up to Dune Part 2, pretty much what you got. The Harkonnens were harvesting the spice on you say Arrakis, right? Is that the way how you say it? Am I right?
Arrakis.
Arrakis. They were harvesting spice on Arrakis, and then they were ordered to leave the planet, and they gave the duties to the House of Atreides, pretty much. So the Emperor of this particular galaxy. All right. Come to find out, the whole time it was a kind of a coup to get the House of Atreides there, so they could assassinate him in the middle of the night. And this was brought forth by the Bene Gesserit, which I'm gonna be honest with you, these two movies just tell me that women are evil. I mean, that's pretty much what it's telling me. Like it's pretty much saying, hey, women are evil. They're
to a whole new level.
Yeah. They plot for centuries. Okay, we've only been plotting for 5,000 years. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, genetically modifying ourselves for 5,000 years so we can stick it to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's pretty much it. So, of course, we have Lady Jessica, and we have Leto. All right, Lady Jessica is part of the Bene Gesserit. All right, and she has a son with Leto when she's actually supposed to have a daughter. And I know what people are saying. It's like, what do you mean, Q, when she was supposed to have a daughter? Well, when you're Bene Gesserit, you can control yourself all the way down to the molecule. So the minute somebody nuts in you, you can actually instantly become pregnant, and you can change whatever gender the baby is. All right, so that's how deep they are. Okay, so that's how deep the Bene Gesserit are. They're witches. All right, pretty much. I mean, of this
space
particular
witches.
galaxy. Space witches. So the Bene Gesserit were pissed about her doing that because they had a plan of which male or which house they wanted to wanted to have the male for him to become the Messiah, quote unquote, because they're the ones who have actually been spreading the myth of this quote unquote Messiah to the
They're
free
fake
men and
news
other
purveyors.
places. Yeah. So this is what do you call this? When you bring something to fruition,
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
There you go, self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's what they're doing. They're doing a self-fulfilling prophecy through genetic manipulation. All right. So when they team up with the Bene Gesserits, the Harkonnens, and the Imperial Guard, which is the Sardukans.
Sardaukar. The
Sardaukar.
Well, the Sardaukar are the race of bred warriors, and they are under House Carino, who is the current Shaddam Emperor the Fourth.
Mm-hmm. So they all team up to perform the assassination of the House of Atreides. All right.
Traitors amongst us everywhere.
Yes. And actually, somebody in the House of Atreides, the doctor, betrays Leto because they have his wife and his kid. All right. So Leto ends up dying. He actually ends up poisoning most of the room. He almost kills Baron Harkonnen, but he floats up to the room because he's some fat fuck that can float. He's got flotation device. And Paul and his mother, Jessica, get exiled to the desert. Well, they were going to throw them in the desert and let the sandworms eat them, but they were able to use the voice, get out of that, captured by the Freeman, and that's when Paul actually gets a high dose of spice, and that's really when his visions really start, coming in full nature. He has his fight with Jameis. He kills Jameis, and that's how he gets into the Freeman pack via that way. So that's Dune Part 1. All right, in a nutshell. There's some other things happen. Duncan Idaho was one of the people who trained him. He dies protecting them, which is actually something that Paul foresaw beforehand. And you actually see some of his Bene Gesserit training with the Reverend Mother. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's Dune Part 1. And so we kind of transition right into Dune. You got something, Ryder?
I just want to know what spice actually is. I'm sure the books tell you more, but they don't really
Corey,
give
take that
you
off for
any
us.
kind
Yeah,
of
no.
information about what the spice actually is in the movies. Are all these Freemen just walking around tripping balls
made by the
24/7
worms.
all the time?
It's made by the worms, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The worms produce it, and it just gets dumped all over the fucking desert. So
Yeah, but what's the deal? Is it like tripping?
They use it for
LSD
intergalactic
or
travel,
what?
if I'm correct.
right, it can have that effect on you in the beginning, but you gain a tolerance, just like the fucking the worm people in tanks, like the guild navigators. They're not tripping all the time, but they have prescience to see throughout what's going on in the universe. They can feel stuff, right? And so that becomes important later when you get to the later books.
Yeah,
and
the Bene Gesserit have been using this to enhance their abilities, using the spice. If I'm correct,
but
as a form of it.
Right, but they can't be doing too much because the eyes don't turn blue. You got to be like, I guess,
Right.
fully saturated in that stuff.
Well, from what I understand, with the water of life, that is like an initiation into becoming a Reverend Mother.
So the water of life is when they take the baby worm and they put it in the water, and then
they drown it.
Right, and that is basically like the bile of the worm. It's like puked up from its liver or something like that. It's made in. It's like the ultra concentrated pre-spice liquid, right? And so yeah, when you drink that, you die. And men die.
You usually die. Yeah,
usually die.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody dies.
Yeah.
and one of the things that we have to that I have to let people know on this with the Bene Gesserit, there is no male that has actually survived the training up until this point in time. Paul was the only one who has survived. And Jessica kind of stuck it to the Bene Gesserit because, like I said, she wasn't supposed to have a son, but she actually did love Leto, and he wanted to have a son. So that was kind of the premise there.
So the whole thing with Paul is like I equate to like the cave with Star Wars for Star Wars people out there.
Okay.
How like Luke had to go into the cave, and then we had to face his fears and all that shit, and so
yeah, that's what they do with it. Did the pain initiation, and they got the poisonous needle. It's like if you don't succeed, we'll stab you in the throat. I'm like, damn, no pressure. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no pressure there. All right, so we jump right into Dune Part 2. Okay, Dune Part 2. So I want
that's almost identical to Star Wars. That's almost identical to Empire Strikes Back. Whenever Luke goes into the cave and then fights Darth Vader, and then the mask explodes, and it's his sister. It's Princess Leia under the Darth Vader mask. Like
cool.
He almost figures out the exact same thing about his family,
guys,
as well.
Guys, I got something I just want to share this real quick.
Okay.
I got something right quick here to share with y'all. I thought this is fitting, so I thought that was like super cute.
Guys, for people on podcasts, it's a dog over here. It's got his hand in the mouth of a toy alligator, like it's performing the Bene Gesserit training or the death ritual. You know what I'm saying? The pain threshold ritual. So it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and let's jump into Dune Part 2. I just want initial reactions and thoughts. Ryder, I'll start with you.
Well, I knew this movie was going to be good. I watched the first one at least 5 times, and once the trailer came out for this, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a banger. And I kept waiting for it to come out. I thought it was going to come out last month.
It was supposed to come out last October.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be last year when it came out.
Well, I kept thinking that we were a month ahead, and I was like, I'm going to go see Dune 2 this week. And they're like, oh, it's not until next week. And then the next week after that, I'm like, I'm going to go see Dune 2 this week. And they're like, no, it's like another month out. But when seeing it phenomenal movie. I loved it. The character development is amazing. The cinematography is spot on. The sound effects in the IMAX theater is just freaking immersive. Just brings you right there. And that's what you really want with a movie. You want to be immersed in the movie. You want to feel like you're a part of that movie. And whenever that movie ends, you don't want it to end. And that's how I felt about the first one. I love the first one. And then that is exactly how I felt about the second one. And I wasn't sure after the first time that I watched Dune Part 2 that it was actually better than the first one. I don't know. There was something about the first one that just like got me, like the pacing of it. It wasn't all action. There was a lot of like build up. It reminded me a lot of like how Game of Thrones works.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of character development and a lot of background, and you got to learn a bunch of different things. And that's what I like. I don't like being spoon fed bullshit. I don't like them telling you everything that they need to tell you in the exposition of the entire movie. Like, that's stupid. Why did they continue to do that? That's why I love Dune Part 1 so much. And then I went to the theater and watched Dune Part 2 and then watched it again with Corey in IMAX. And since watching it a second time, I feel like it is better than the first, even though I have mad hard love for the first one.
Okay. All right. Corey, I'll let you go.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. It wasn't as grand scale as Return of the King, but it was good.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it? Okay. All right. Okay, so
Are we gonna fight after this or what? You get
we
the
might.
damn you and your damn
You
smile.
might. You might. Okay, so I personally messed up because before this, right before this movie came out, there's people that watched it, okay, and they gave you their thoughts on it without spoilers. So I didn't listen to anything as far as spoilers go. The way everybody talked it up, like the hype train behind it, almost had me over. It did have me overexcited for the movie. Okay. And so when I got there, I was expecting to be like right on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I will say for me, this Dune Part 2 did not have the same tension and suspense as Dune Part 1.
What? Really?
Yes, I felt no suspense, I felt no tension. I almost was like, I mean, it's just it has been written. It's just like what Stilgar says. It has been written. Like at no point in time did I feel like the Fremen were actually in any type of danger. In the last battle, they just go right out there, and I know they had the sandworms and they ate a few, but they just ran right through the Sadukar. Did I say that right?
Sardaukar.
Sadukar. They ran right through them, bust right up in the castle, and just like,
But they had the nukes, Cube. They had all the nukes. They went and got all the House
yeah,
Atreides nukes from
we're
his
going,
father and just
we're
nuking
we're
motherfuckers.
going, we're
Okay.
going. Well, they said they were going to nuke the spice. They said we'll nuke the whole planet of spice. Okay.
Well, they shot some missiles in the beginning of that big
Mm-hmm.
battle. They
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
two
So
missiles up over.
I will definitely give you that much, that they missed an opportunity here. They could have added just like 5 minutes to the movie and added some large scale Return of the King style battle looking scenes.
Like, okay,
Motherfuckers like shooting off the worms and stuff, and they didn't do it.
yeah.
I
So,
feel like they
mhm.
bypassed a lot of stuff. They could have. I don't know if it was an extra 20 million. They couldn't afford it. I mean, this movie's going to make over $1 billion, so like
Yeah.
they should have done it.
So I did enjoy the battle where they were attacking the Hark and then Spice Harvester.
Right, those were
I
cool.
did that one was great. That battle was great. There was tension there. You know what I'm saying? Some of their people died. Everybody didn't make it back. And I think another thing that kind of and this is not me saying that it wasn't a good movie. I thought it was a fantastic movie. But another thing that kind of didn't quite sit right with me was Fade Rotha. Okay, for the simple fact, I never felt his presence as a badass, and there's a few reasons why I never felt his presence as a badass. Number one, when he's in the gladiator arena, you poison some dudes, and then the last guy's a malnourished, soldier. You know what I'm saying? With your bullfighters on the outside, just in case some shit goes awry. He turned his shield off. He's like, and I know what they were trying to do. Oh, he's psychotic and all that. He's putting his life on the line. No, he wouldn't. That last dude was malnourished. He probably ain't ate in 2 months. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Ain't just they give him just enough water to keep him alive. I'm like, this is an easy fight. And then throughout the rest of the movie, whenever you see him, he just like slits the throats of random people. You just like of his own folk. I'm just like, okay. So I was expecting at some point in time to really bring hate for Fade, because I never really hated him. To really bring hate for Fade Rotha, he needs to go and kill some of the Fremen. All right, we need to have some type of battle where he goes in there, and all of a sudden you see a couple people who were kind of out. And I know that might not be part of the actual books, but we know that they changed some stuff anyway. But if we seen that where he took out like maybe some characters that were quote unquote, man, you've seen them on the screen multiple times, conversing and things of that nature, then it would have added gravity towards the ending with his battle with Paul.
Well, he did kind of do that in a roundabout way. It was a lot of off-screen things whenever they bombed the sanctuary there, and then they had that one lady that was chained to the floor or whatever, and then he brought out that flamethrower and shot the flamethrower and burned her alive. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There could have been, he should have been front lines in that battle, like going in there and just ripping people.
Yeah, his
apart.
battle.
I mean, that would have been a perfect opportunity to do it, because they kind of did it, but they just did it off screen, which I do see your point there.
Yeah, and of course, the Baron was part of a lot of those strikes, giving the orders on that. So I thought that because people were, I had people telling me Fade Rotha, and then they said Heath Ledger Joker. I was like, oh shit, I'm about to have something here. If you say Fade Rotha and then Heath Ledger's Joker, I'm like, oh boy. And then like I seen it play out, and I was like,
they kind of Jared Leto'd him in Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad.
It didn't play out well, and I'll be honest with you, that character has never been done well. Not in the old movie, and even not in the book. In the book, they spend a little more time with him, and they go into a little bit more about how the Bene Gesserit are more involved with him, and like
right. And we see that in this movie. Well, she just goes and has sex with him.
Right. Right. They fuck the shit out of him in the books.
Yeah.
And so, but they never really develop him the way they develop Paul. See, if you're going to develop somebody as a counterforce, you got to put as much time and effort into it, and they never did.
Right.
Not even in the book, because the book's about Paul, right? So,
right.
It's a character that what you saw is kind of what the book did too. And in fact, I thought there was a little bit more effort put into the movie than I remember from the book on him.
Okay. So maybe that's what I was missing as far as he goes.
I think the actor, his name's Austin Butler.
Yeah.
What else has he done? He looked familiar, but I couldn't place it.
Well, he looks a lot like Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I thought that it was in the beginning until I read the credits, and it was Austin Butler. But I'm pretty sure that he did some kind of voice acting.
He was
to
Elvis.
Sound more like the Skarsgård.
Wait, he was Elvis.
He was Elvis.
In the Elvis movie. Yeah.
And that's his big role. That's it. Besides his Fade Rotha, he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't remember which guy he was. Was he one of the killers?
I just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the other day. Fantastic movie. Holy shit.
Yeah, he might have been one of the killers, but that's kind of his only thing.
He played the guy on the horse at the Manson Lodge. That was him. The guy that what was his name in that movie? It was like Manson's right-hand man. Whenever they went to the
that's what I was saying. He was one of the killers.
Yeah.
Tex Watson.
Tex. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, so he was one of the killers. So when you're taking and you're dramatizing the book, now this is a point in time because they took liberties in other areas, from what I understood, because there's been some people who's gotten to some deep dive explanations on what happened in the book, and I've been looking at that. I thought that was an opportunity to take a little bit of liberty and kind of make Fade Rotha be hated and almost make you a fanatic even more of Paul. Because I think that the premise of the movie is not only to make the Freeman fanatics, but to also imbue that in us to where we become fanatics as well. What do y'all think about that?
Possibly. That's kind of deep.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted it to be deep. That's what I thought. You know what I'm saying? But you see, if you're building up, because Paul, from what I understand, he understands that by him doing this, he's already foreseen it. 61 billion will die. 61 billion. That's more than a few people. Okay, so so to kind of gloss over that whole fact and to kind of get your mind even further away from the fact that he's about to go do a whole lot of terrible shit, or have his followers do a whole lot of terrible shit, make Fade Rotha even that more villainous to kind of even get you more on Paul's side. You know what I'm saying?
You know what we need, guys? We need the Dune 2 David Villeneuve director's cut, and all will be solved. Right?
Oh, you think director's cut?
We'll do a freaking. We'll Zack Snyder it, dude. Just
Okay.
everybody want the Dune 2 David Villeneuve director's cut of Dune 2, and we'll probably get all those extra scenes. But I think they had to make some choices within the film because it's a long runtime. How long is the runtime? Like
2 hours,
2 hours and 45
minutes.
minutes. Yeah, it's a long runtime. I think that they had to chop some things down in order to fit it all in there, and they wanted to focus more surrounding Paul because the first half of the first movie really didn't. We kind of got a lot of Paul, but it really wasn't so much as focused on Paul.
It kind of jumped around.
Yeah, it did a little jumping back and forth. So I think that some of that stuff just kind of fell on the cutting room floor because you can tell where some of the scenes were just cut short. I mean, whenever Paul and Zendaya are out in the whenever they the one guy tells him to walk across the mountains or whatever, and then like she meets up with him and shows him how to do the walk, the desert walk or whatever, and that scene was completely cut short.
Yeah, like, it went nowhere.
Super short.
They were like, he's not going to make it, and I was like, and then all of a sudden it's the next day. I was like,
what? Yeah, the next day, and they're battling. He's already learned like pretty much everything that he needed to learn, and they're battling the spice machine. You know, So that scene was definitely cut short. Whenever she looks, stop looking at me like that, and then it just cuts right after that, and then it's a whole other thing. So I knew for a fact that there was a few others too that were just that looked like it was just they had to chop it. They had to chop it back. So whenever David Villeneuve came into the studio and was like, "Hey, here's my movie," and the movie's like 3.5 hours long, the studio executives were probably like, "Nah, bro, you're gonna have to cut that back."
Yeah, this ain't Avatar, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, okay, a lot of this is about Paul and Shawnee's relationship. Do you feel like that was handled correctly? Because they did change their relationship in this movie, and I'll go to Corey on this, seeing how he's read the books, and I've seen some people talk about this, how they changed Shawnee and Paul's relationship. Did you like the change in this particular film, or do you think they should have went with the original play as far as books?
Well, the way that it played out is how it played out in the books, but at the end of Dune 2, they make it seem like she's getting dissed far more than she actually is. So, even though, I mean, he has to marry the Emperor's daughter, has to, because of numerous reasons. The Bene Gesserit stuff, to get all the houses in the Landsrod behind him. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons, right? But it turns out, as you get into the next book, it turns out that he's been fucking Chani the whole time. He never fucks the Emperor's daughter, and she gets all pissed about it. And so he eventually has children, but with Chani, not with the Emperor's daughter, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, from what people were saying, they were saying in the books, Chani was a devout follower. Like she wasn't like here, but she was just like she was kind of pissy the whole time.
Yeah, she's a follower, but like if you're fucking Jesus and Jesus is fucking somebody else, you're gonna get a little pissed at Jesus, right? So that's kind of how it goes. It doesn't matter if you're the
See,
fucking chosen one or not. Like if you're supposed to be hitting it here at home and I think you're stepping out, I'm gonna kick your ass, Jesus. That's how it goes. So
Ass kicking Jesus, baby.
Is that how it is? Okay, so in this film, did you feel how do you feel Paul and Shawnee in this field as far as their interactions in this?
I'll tell you, she got that evil eye down.
Tension?
Oh yeah,
she got the sexual tension.
She got the evil eye down though. I'll tell you what. Once she realized she was getting burned, she was like, "Fuck you and fuck this, and I'm out, bitches, and I don't want to hear you about your prophecy shit. Fuck you." That was great.
Yeah, I know.
That was good stuff.
Like every time Paul do something, they're like, "It has been written." Was it Stilgar? Boy, he was all over it, man. Stilgar was living. Stilgar was so into it. He was like, "Paul, take my life so you can speak." It's like damn good. Y'all don't have no better way of getting shit done than to do battle to the death. There ain't no other way. I mean, I'm just trying to figure this thing out. Every time something happens, it's like battle. It's like when he was battling Jameis in Dune Part 1. He was like, yield. It's like, Freeman fight to the death. It's like, I don't want to kill this dude, man. But okay, if I need to. It's like,
that's why your guys' numbers are so freaking low, is because you keep killing each other. It's wild. It sounds like what's happening to certain people in our time. But what I like about this film, well, first off, the whole interaction between those two I thought was really good, because she never really bought the entire Messiah thing from the very beginning. She's like, this is the way that you control people.
Right.
If you tell them that there's going to be a savior, then they'll sit around and wait.
Right.
And I'm like, holy crap, that's exactly the way that it is. I mean, you look at all the different religions, that's pretty much what the backing of that entire thing is. Put belief into people's heads, so therefore they sit back and do nothing.
Remain oppressed.
Right?
Yep.
Right. It's a stand down operation, just like QAnon was a stand down operation as well. Right. It's the exact same thing, and I really like that in all the religious overtones. I guess it would be overtones and undertones, because it's blatantly right in your face as well.
Right.
But a lot of the religious symbolism within there too. That's what a lot of biblical scholars actually believe, is that Jesus took a substance, went into a cave, died for 3 days, and then was resurrected. And that's pretty much what is, shown in this movie, except I don't think that it was 3 days. It probably wasn't too much longer.
Yeah, you don't know how much time's passed, but it's... Yeah.
But that's the symbolic nature of it, the symbolic death and resurrection. And I really liked the way that they played with that within the movie, and the just the religious nature, but turning it into something that it might have actually really have been, instead of a lot of the fairy tale stories that we get from mainstream religion.
Right. Okay. So the people who are really pushing for Paul to become this Messiah over the Fremen is his mother, Lady Jessica. Like, she's all into it, though. Like, she's put this plot in motion for a while. Stilgar, and when they finally meet back up with Gurney, he's all about it for revenge, though, because he understands that the Fremen have numbers in the South. So those are really the only three. Of course, they show, extras in there, and they're like, some of them are like, they bow to him, and some of them look out like, oh, he ain't shit. I could whoop his ass. You know what I'm saying? So they have that dynamic there. And of course, whenever Paul does something, it gets amplified. So when he's able to ride, what they say, what was the biggest sandworm? They said, I didn't know you was going to call the biggest one. You know what I'm saying? And he jumps on it. Which, I got a question for you. You've read the books. These sandworms, I seen how he gets on it and ride it, but I seen like 200 people on the back of it. How'd they get on?
They just hop up.
How do you get off?
They just hop up after, Do
what?
He just throws them a rope. You ain't supposed to ask these questions. He just throws him a rope.
Man, I was sitting there and
They
I was
climb
like,
up
oh,
there.
okay. I was sitting there, I was like, okay, he rides the sandworm. I said, boy, it's tough to get on this thing. And then I see 200 people riding on the back. I'm like, what, did he stop the sandworm?
Bro, they got ropes.
You say heel?
He holds
got
the
ropes,
skin
that's what they
open
do.
so it doesn't go under the sand.
Okay. And then they
Paul's jumping off freaking sand mountains and shit to grab on the back of this worm and throwing ropes to freaking 700 other people to climb on.
Yeah,
his pregnant mom is just jumps off of the sand mountain as well. Like, I thought that exact same thing though too, Cube, when I was watching it for a second time. I was like, how did Paul had to do all this extraordinary stuff to get on this worm, and then
he
all
got
of a
the
sudden
worm to
there's
go
like
down low
so
they could just walk on, and that was it.
Okay,
easy
got
peasy.
to hold up, and then somehow they get him to go the direction that they need him to go.
They got hooks, man. They're pulling them with the hooks.
I'm like, man, y'all got to give me a little explanation here.
Hooks,
I would have liked 5 minutes.
Hooks, dude. He's pulling hooks.
Well, but what does that mean? So you talking about like a horse?
Yes.
And I'm supposed to believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
Shut up and move on.
You want me to believe that? My goodness. Now, one of the things, from what I understand, that they changed in this is that Paul's sister, which in this one is not born, plays a more significant role as far as in the death of the Baron Harkonnens. From what I understand, she kills the Baron Harkonnens. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. That's what I've heard. She's the one that actually killed him. As a child, in the books.
Correct. Pulls his heart plug in the movie.
Okay. Can you speak on a little bit more, because I'm assuming she's going to be a part of Dune Part 3.
You mean
Can you speak a little bit more
Alia?
on her importance? Yeah, Alia. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when she drank the fucking water of life, and the Reverend Mother didn't know that she was pregnant, she created the abomination in Alia, and so Alia is born like knowing everything her mom knew from the time of birth and before, right? So, but that ends up being really bad, because after Paul ends up going off into the desert. Oh, spoiler alert. After Paul goes off into the desert, Alia takes over the empire until Paul's kids can take it over, right? She's the steward, or whatever they call the in-between person, right? However, she ends up getting haunted by the recurring ghost in her ancestry of the Baron Harkonnen. And it drives her fucking crazy. And so she ends up being a loose cannon, and it's not in a good way. But then she gets taken care of by the time Leto comes to power. Leto the second, right?
Okay. And this was and I'm assuming this was in the books, but there was a plot twist that Lady Jessica was actually Baron Harkonnen's daughter.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
In the book as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because that was part of the Bene Gesserit fucking breeding program that even she didn't know about at the time. But see, that ends up coming back to be a big problem for her, for Alia, and for Leto, I think, because the Baron Harkonnen comes back to haunt Leto too, but he has such control over everything.
The precedent. And don't they call it the precedent?
Prescient.
Yeah, okay.
He's got such control over himself and the voices in his head that it doesn't drive him crazy. So, but I'm going to say this. These dumb motherfuckers, like, all this shit that's happening in Dune is completely irrelevant if they don't continue the series with following through with God Emperor of Dune. All of this is prologue. That's it. This is just paving the way for Leto II's rise, and that's where the real story begins. And so this stuff is all like just setting the foundation of the real story to come. So for them to stop at like the next story, because the next story is a transitional story, it doesn't really do shit. It shows Paul and Paul's not fall from grace, but like He ends up getting blinded by an explosion because there's like rebels against him and people trying to kill him. There's a bunch of espionage shit that goes on with like a face dancer who like is a shapeshifter, and like by the end of the next book, he ends up walking off into the fucking desert, right? And that's it. That's the whole fucking story. And then that's where he's going to end. But all that stuff does really just sets the pace for the next 2 books, which is like the 2 biggest books in the whole series, and that's really what the whole story is about. So it's kind of frustrating for me because they're never going to make that shit ever, and they should.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe it'll be just like like the Harry Potter did.
Well, like I was telling, exactly.
Say, we're gonna bang out 8 movies.
Like I was telling Ryder the other day, like they should just write that motherfucker a big check with a bunch of zeros on it and be like, because he said he's only doing 3 because of his artistic vision. Like, fuck your artistic vision.
What's that supposed to mean?
Yeah, I don't
Does
know.
That mean something?
What it was meaning is that he's too much of a pussy to turn the other books into movies. It'd be too hard to do, he said. Basically, it's too hard to translate them to film, which just means he sucks. So.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, okay, so in this movie, there was a lot of silence. Like, there was a lot of moments where you just see shit, like, but there ain't nobody saying nothing. I'm going to be honest, like, in the second act, I about nodded off a couple times. I was like, dude, I done looked at the desert 5 times, dog. I seen this vast. Somebody need to say something, man. I mean, I was like, and then it got into the third act. I was like, okay, whew, thank God, shit. Well, I won't nobody saying nothing. It was just, it was Shawnee and Paul looking at each other. Shawnee looking pissed. I'm leaving. Stilgar over there bowing. Lady Jessica just in the corner. She over here like Monty Burns, all rubbing her hands together, looking all weird and shit.
Don't watch No One Will Save You on Hulu then, because there's 0 dialogue in the entire movie.
Good God,
no
dude.
one says anything. But it was the best movie of 2023.
Oh, was it?
Hands down, in my opinion. Yes.
Okay, then I guess I gotta watch it then. But you said there was no dialogue. But how long is
it? Hour and a half.
Okay, so you see, you can make it with that. This thing about 3 hours. I just that was one of my beefs with it. That I had a lot of times where folks were just like they were just trying to show us the vastness and the beauty of the area.
But that's like that's the cinematography of
a
good movie, though. Like there's too many movies that don't like stay on one shot for very long. They want to make it all about nonsense and bullshit on the screen like 24/7 because people's attention spans are not. They don't think people's attention spans are what it used to be. So therefore, they think that they always have to have something flashes on the screen or some kind of bullshit. I actually appreciated the cinematography a lot in this movie because it gives it time to simmer. It gives it time to simmer cubed, and you can just kind of relax, get in your heated seats. We had heated seats in our movie theater, and
shit.
whip up the chairs, just sit back and eat some popcorn, drink your Slurpee, and enjoy it. But I like that aspect of it because I felt like that's what a lot of the first one was too. There was a lot of silence and like dead air as well, and like I don't know, it's something about the ambiance of the.
But as I said, I felt a little bit more tension in the first one. So that's me personally. Okay, so let's go to this. What did y'all think about the choices of Christopher Walken as the Emperor and then Florence Pugh as his daughter?
Interesting. He did okay. He wasn't in it very long. Not that the Emperor really is in the story much at all.
Right. Okay. I wondered about that. I guess he's not a very integral part of the story. Overall.
Yeah, he's involved in a lot of plotting behind the scenes that comes out in other books, but like, because I don't think they end up killing him. He ends up going off to live on on his home world under like prison guard or something. But then he starts to plot again with somebody, I forget who. But he ends up being a problem. But again, you can't ever let your fucking enemy live. You got to kill them because, and then you got to kill their kids because their kids will come back and get you later. And then you got to kill their dog because the dog will come and get you. Okay, you got to do all that stuff. It's unfortunate.
It'd be like Scream 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's exactly like to avoid Scream 8, you got to kill everybody up front. I mean, this is how it goes, bro. Jesus Christ. You just totally nailed it. Why you have to kill everyone to avoid a Scream 8 situation.
Yeah, fourth cousins, fifth cousins, damn sister-in-laws. I was like, bro, the whole bloodline. If you're involved in the bloodline, you got to go. All right, because you're lingering in the shadows. I can't have it. I thought it was a little weird because that's two people that I'm pretty sure ran a pretty good price tag for not big roles.
Oh, how much did they get paid? He couldn't have got more than a couple mil. I mean, come on, that was a cameo role at best.
Yeah, but damn, you hear what you just said? Let me just get somebody else. I could pay $50,000. They wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the Emperor just seemed like he almost seemed stupid. I mean, I'm just like.
So the story on how his family came into power is one of like ultimate backstabbing and political shrewdness and all that stuff. All the Game of Thrones shit culminated with him coming to power. But the Carinos had been in power, I think, for a while, and they were all backstabbing scum. They were like Lannisters.
Okay,
they were like Lannisters.
Okay. Oh, okay. So they're all backstabbing scum. And then Florence Pugh. Can I say something about her? Man, she used to be hot. I don't know. Something's happening to her. Are y'all seeing the transformation? Like she seems to be getting like, is it pudgier? Like I remember her from Black Widow. Like she's almost like turning into like a pug.
Do you hate women? Is that what this is all about?
No. I mean, I'm not saying that she's dumpster fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you throw her in the dumpster. You know what I'm saying? If she's around, you know, you still hit. But I'm just like, you still hit. But it's just like, man, when I seen her in Black Widow, it's like, dang, boy, Florence Pugh. You know what I'm saying? Then her Hawkeye, Florence Pugh. Yeah, but she's tough. And then like, as she started playing more and more stuff, she started dressing weird. I think it's that Hollywood shit. You get in Hollywood, and all of a sudden you start dressing real weird.
You gotta drink all that adrenochrome and shit.
You start cutting your hair in weird ways. It's just like, Florence, what are you doing? Hold on a second. I'm just letting y'all know. It's like she was like everybody's crush for like a couple days. You know what I'm saying? It was like 2 days.
I honestly don't even know who she is. I didn't watch Black Widow or Hawkeye or any of those things with her in it.
I need to make sure this ain't showing her nipple. I can't. She be wearing stuff that has her nipple out. Is it showing her nipple? It might be. I better be careful.
Yeah, she look good.
Shot?
Yeah, she's a good solid 8.5.
Man, stop. But she looks like she's eating here, man.
You got no titties though.
She's eating. But I'm
I
just
thought
saying,
if you're in
like,
Hollywood, and you got no titties. It's a mandatory boob job.
like, she's got the bull ring. I don't know. Like, this is her when she was skinnier. You see, like, her face is like expanding. Look how her face is expanding. Let's see this. I know I'm nitpicking, but damn, man. I mean, I think Hollywood's doing something. Her face is expanding. And she's getting pudgier. Florence, get it together, all right?
It's the CGI, bro. It's the Photoshop there.
Oh, is it? Is that what's messing her up?
That's what's messing her up.
Ah, damn. But I just thought it was that was an interesting pick. And I'm probably with you there, Ryder. Maybe get somebody who's not known as much, so you get more immersed into what's actually going on. I would say Timothy Chalamet. I ain't really seen him in a whole lot. Has he really been in anything? I know he just played Wonka, but
that's weird they let him do that. It's weird they let him do anything but Dune until Dune was done. Especially Wonka. How weird is that?
Yeah, I know. Like, so Dune is like, yeah, that's like his coming out party. Like, so he was really not in anything else. Yeah, King, don't nobody know that.
He was in a movie called Call Me by Your Name. I don't know
who Weinstein this kid.
Weinstein. So it was somebody Weinstein. So yeah, this is like his coming out party, the Dune movies. of course, Zendaya has been a part of a whole list of movies. And how did you feel? You feel like she's a good choice for Shawnee
I thought that
if you compare it to the books?
she had the best stink eye. Let me tell you that, man. That whole last 20 minutes of the movie, she was just angry. She had the best stink eye. I tell you, man. She looks at you, know she's pissed. She's like, "Fuck you!" It's all over her goddamn face. So just for that reason alone, I'm gonna say yes. No, she's fine.
You go say yes.
She's fine. Again, immersion breaking because I wanted a bunch of nobodies, but she'll do. You know, she's okay.
Okay.
I kept thinking
Ryder,
she was
how do
gonna
you
be
feel
like,
about
"Kiss me, Peter," you know, but
No, I thought she did a good job. I was able to distinguish her character from when she was in the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
Um, I think they changed up her outfit enough to make her look like a Furman, so it wasn't hard to distinguish her. I didn't really have a problem with her. I really didn't have a problem with Christopher Walken
Okay.
either. I mean, I thought that was okay for what it was. I mean,
Mhm.
did it have to be Christopher Walken? Probably not. They probably could have got someone different to play that role. Because you don't really see Christopher Walken as much as a badass. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
the emperor of the entire thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the emperor of Star Wars is someone to be feared. Like, whenever
Right.
you hear Christopher Walken's voice, it's kind of like he's kind
Yeah.
of chuckle.
Like
He's going to
goofy.
chuckle a little
Uh-huh.
bit, but
Yeah.
they probably could have gotten somebody else that was just as a high of a caliber actor as Christopher Walken, but a different character that seemed more fierce and more
Right.
feared.
I think that's what I think that's what I was looking. Somebody who was a little bit more that would be, you know, you'd be like, oh damn, that's the emperor. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
just like just kind of he seemed dumb, but that's how Christopher Walken is. Like he's like goofy. I mean, so that's what I think. That's what kind
Did
of
you
threw me
see
off.
that Christopher Walken commercial during the Super Bowl?
Oh, I didn't see that. I
Oh, it's
missed
really
that.
good. You guys have to look it up. It's really funny. It's like Christopher Walken going around to all these different places, and everyone is making comments toward him with his voice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Got
It's
you.
pretty funny. It's probably the best commercial of the Super Bowl.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, Corey, of course, you've read the books as we alluded to. We've got this. It kind of just proceeded to say the Holy Wars will begin. That's kind of what Lady Jessica said. So where does this take us next, as far as Dune Part 3?
well, he sends off his Fremen jihadis all over the fucking universe because nobody accepts his rise as emperor, and that's where they go
Right.
and
We
they
hear that.
and they just put the smackdown on the whole goddamn galaxy, and they control the spice, right? So they control everything, and
So they just go. So they just go and start slaughtering folks.
right to the point where it gets beyond Paul's control, and that's what begins to
Oh.
like the legend of Muad'Dib grew beyond any kind of reality and spread throughout the whole known universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so not wanting to bear the responsibility and feeling the guilt for everything that he has done, he basically walks off into the fucking desert to die. And that's kind of how that's how the next one ends. See, I don't understand how they're going to pull this off because the next story will be so anticlimactic compared to what's happened thus far.
Mm-hmm. Is
There's
the Benny Gesserit still involved in this
oh god, yes,
next one?
oh yeah, they're trying to
Okay.
plot against him through his wife.
Okay.
And the wife is like slipping him for infertility pills because he's trying to have kids with Chani, and he can't. For years he can't have kids, and something's fucking wrong, right? And so but eventually he does. And the fact that he's Muad'Dib and she is like such a heavy spice consumer because she's a Fremen, that causes both of their
Mm-hmm.
kids to be like the goddamn twins from The Shining, like
Super powered. They're like
fucking
super powered right out
right
the
out the fucking gate. They just know shit they shouldn't know. They fully are trained in the Fremen ways without ever having done them. Like riding worms
they're
and
like full grown adults
fucking
right
inside.
out the
Yeah,
womb,
basically, yeah.
which is the same. Which is the same way Aaliyah was, right?
Aaliyah is more intense because her
Uh-huh.
mom drank the fucking
Oh, so Eliza's more intense.
Yeah, but she goes crazy. It drives her crazy. She can't handle it.
Right,
And
okay.
over time, it drives her nuts. But Leto could handle it. And so, but yeah, that all leads to Leto's rise and the Golden Path. And the whole story is about the Golden Path, which Paul talks about a little bit, but they don't even get to until the end of Children of Dune. But that is the path that he sees that humanity across the universe is in turmoil and always at war and all this stuff. And so his gift to humanity is that he will instill a multi-thousand-year peace, which he does, and he succeeds at that. But at what cost? The cost is that humanity kind of stagnates, right? That's kind of the the price for peace. And so eventually he will okay, so there's some debate over whether he was killed or commits suicide, but it's a little bit of both. And so eventually he'll go back into the. It's a really long story, but there's no more worms, and Arrakis is now is like a jungle planet, right? It's all got water and fucking oceans and stuff. He reverses that course and turns it back into a desert planet, and that's when the third story arc begins, after Leto the Second. So, but we got like 3 books to even get there. So, and then you got and then you have 2 books building up to the climax of Dune, which wasn't even written by Frank Herbert. It was written by his son. So, but yeah, like I told fucking Ryder, if you like science fiction, it's the best goddamn. If you like spy novels, it's the best fucking spy novels. Like the stuff that goes on in these books are fucking amazing, with like the espionage, because they got like shapeshifters and face dancers and all kinds of cool espionage shit, you know. So
are you predicting this third film, which I'm assuming they're gonna make, we'll probably see Paul distribute the Fremen across the galaxy.
Yep.
You'll probably see some of the atrocities they perform, and then we'll see the pushback against that. That's what I would assume.
Yeah, you'll start to see the pushback against Paul and like all kinds of people plotting against him. But
do you think Shawnee will have a major role, because they kind of changed?
She does. Yeah, she has a major role in there too, and then eventually she'll give birth to the children. But the book is a transitional book. Not a lot happens in the book. It just goes to show the remaining Paul's life, and which isn't really much, because he goes blind because of the explosion that causes him to go blind. And under Fremen law, this is another thing. Under Fremen law, when you go blind, you fucking have to go off in the desert and let Shai-Hulud eat you. Like, that's just how it goes. When you're blind and you're a Fremen, you go off in the desert and you die. And so then you get half the Fremen are like, he's not fucking Muad'Dib no more. He's blind. So he has to go off in the desert and die. And the other half are like, fuck you. But he can see without his eyes, right? He has prescience, so he can, like, you know, he can do all that stuff. So he has to like, kind of convince people that he's still the fucking Muad'Dib and stuff. So yeah, not a whole lot happens. I don't really have a lot of high hopes for it. I don't really know what to think. I don't know why he's doing this.
You don't have high hopes?
No.
Even after this?
No, it should end right here. If he's not going to continue on with the plan to go through God Emperor of Dune, it needs to end right here. The next book is transitional. It's pointless to go into it if you're not going to do any of that other stuff later.
Okay.
Which he said outright he's not. He said he's doing 3, and they can go find some other fool to do it. Basically,
Ryder,
what he
said. How do you feel about that?
I think that you should definitely make a third one. I haven't read the books, but I don't think they should actually follow the way that Corey's explaining it. I don't think they should even follow the third book. I don't think they should.
They should throw it out and kind of.
They should just come to their own conclusion and do the Hollywood thing, and like write their own third movie, if that's the way that they're wanting to close out the entire franchise.
If they don't plan on making more past these.
Exactly. If they don't plan on making any more past it, don't even mess with it. Just write your own thing, do your own thing. And I feel like that would be way better and way easier than following a book that doesn't make any sense for you to even be doing. And I would actually like to see Paul and the Fremen actually fight the Great Houses. Because whenever I had seen it, I came back and talked to Corey, and I was like, hey, it kind of ends like, I don't know if that's the way that it's supposed to end, or like,
well, in the book, in the next book, it skips years, so you don't even see him fighting the Grey Houses. Like, it skips over all that.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, it skips over all that, and it goes like, it's like 5 years later, and like Paul's ruling, and like the Fremen have already conquered all the fucking planets across the galaxy, and that's kind of where it picks up. So you don't even get to see any of that battle stuff.
So I think that if they're obviously doing a third one, Denis Villeneuve has already said that he's making the third one, probably not any after that. So if they are going to make a third one, then I feel like they're going to pick right up after where this one left off, even though there's not any source material for it, just like how they picked right directly after the first one. Second one picks up right directly after the first one, so I don't understand why they would do a third one and not pick directly right up after the second one ended.
So let me say this. So not part of the original stories, but the fucking son who wrote all the prequel books, after he wrote the prequels, he wrote 2 books about Paul. One was called Paul of Dune, and I forget what the other one was. But those 2 books fill in the 5-year gap that I'm talking about. So, but I haven't read those books. I don't know what the fuck they're about at all. I haven't even touched them.
Okay.
But
those, so you haven't gotten
but the son wrote those books that fills in the gaps from the immediate ending that we just saw until the next book begins, which is like 5-6 years later, something like that. So that material has been done, and the series is called Paul of Dune. I think there's only 2 of them. So
you think we could have like a mixture of that with the third book?
They could definitely, because I know the son has been involved with the making. He posted pictures of him on set and stuff. So the son was involved. He owns the copyrights to all this shit, right? So he's making millions off of this. So it would be ridiculous to not incorporate some of his writings, but I don't know that this is where you'd want to do it. You would be inserting a secondary work into a primary work, which is some people would just take as offensive right off the bat just because of what you're doing, so it's hard to say.
Okay.
If they did do that, but see, here's the thing: you have another movie, and you'd have some battles in it, but the climax has already occurred, right? Him taking over as the emperor has already occurred, so there's no climax to build to again in this next one. So, I have a feeling he's going to follow the book religiously. It's going to be a word for word copy of the book. And I think he's going to end the book. The build up and the climax and the culmination of the movie will be the birth of the twins. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
And that could be an okay place to end it. But then you got twins. And what, he's going to write happily ever after? No. You're going to fucking leave it. You're going to make a trilogy and leave it sitting right at the doorstep of the 2 greatest science fiction books ever written. Give me a fucking break. I mean, it's just ridiculous for them to not stop right here is a travesty, I think. If they're not going to continue on,
they need to stop right now.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so that's
coming straight to you from Corey Hughes.
Yeah, that's Corey's thought. He's like, look, if you're not going, hey, you need to take this all the way. Okay, if this is not going to be,
they don't even have to go all the way. They could just do books 3 and 4. And be done right there. 3 and 4, and they can fucking stop. They don't even have to go into because after what happens is like fucking Leto becomes this big worm-like thing, and he takes over the whole fucking universe. But his Fremen warriors, he actually over time creates an army of women, because he says that in peacetime, men have a tendency to victimize the local populations as a harsh police force instead of being benevolent. So he created this fucking whole army of women called the Shadowed Maters or something like that. I forget what they're called. But then over time, after he dies, they kind of take on their own presence in the universe. And then they end up coming back and going to war with motherfuckers. And like that becomes a whole thing. But they don't need to include any of that. That could all they don't need to do any of that shit at all. If he's going to go up through book 3, they can keep him on to do 2 more books. That's all it is. 2 more books. Although they're like fucking this thick, dude. They're like huge ass books. But that's it. They can just do those 2 books and be done with the whole fucking thing. Like, to not do it, I think is such a travesty, because they've already done Dune 3. This is the 3rd time they've done Dune. The 3rd fucking time. And they always stop in the same goddamn place.
Do you think it's because they don't have much creative direction to go
they're fucking,
at the end, and they don't want to keep going?
They don't want to spend the $300 million it would take to do the fucking fancy graphics and shit. But they've been doing fancy graphics for years now. It shouldn't be that big a deal to make a 4-story tall fucking half man, half worm thing.
Oh, it's a big deal. That costs you $100 million.
Bro, they just made a King Kong movie where he's got some doohickey on his hand, okay? Like a fucking, like a Nintendo Power Glove. Fuck right off.
He's got a Transformer glove.
Yeah, so stupid.
I thought that was the preview for a new Transformers movie. Until,
Hey, I got a question for y'all. Did the Godzilla trailer play twice
No.
in a row? At my theater, when I went and watched it, the Godzilla trailer played, and then the Godzilla trailer played again.
Back to back or separate?
No, back to back. I was like everybody in the theater was just looking around at each other like, didn't we just see this? And then that makes you start thinking, am I fucked up? That's what you start thinking, like, I didn't take nothing, I don't think. There's something in my drink. You know what I'm saying?
That was an experiment. Trying to MK Ultra you in the theater.
Yeah, maybe it was just an AMC issue because I went and watched it at AMC theater. Maybe it's just AMC issue. So I was like, damn. So guys, this Dune Part 2. You've heard the resident expert on what he thinks they should do here. What's y'all's thoughts? Did y'all enjoy the movie? What were some of your quirks? Of course, there's pros and cons in every movie. I don't know if they've made a completely perfect movie ever. Somebody may disagree with me on here.
That one I'll have to think about.
Okay, all right. like a perfect movie.
One of my favorites of all time is that Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. I've seen it like fucking 20 times. It's pretty damn close to perfect. I mean, it's not very many holes for me to poke in it. Although then I watched a video. It was a 20-minute video on all the things wrong with this movie, and it was like, oh my god, I missed that. Oh my god. So I was like, fuck that. It's a great movie.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what's good, Dave? Is that if a movie can get you immersed and hook you to the point where you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
That means that it did a really good job.
Yeah.
Because somebody else, they sit there and do that all day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they don't watch this movie 100 times and you're sitting there like, I'm going to pick out every little thing. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the people who were, what was it, in the Age of Ultron movie when they're like, man, look at all the images that the Ultron picked up on of, humanity being bad. I was like, you see, it's like it's like a whole bunch of, it's like Hitler and this and that. I was like, y'all saw that? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, Roddy, do you have a perfect movie?
I would say The Shining. I'd say The Shining is a perfect movie with inconsistencies and what seems like continuity errors, but they're really not.
Okay.
I think that it is the closest movie that could possibly be considered a perfect movie.
Okay. The Shining.
But I really love Django Unchained. I love Edge of Tomorrow. If people haven't watched Edge of Tomorrow yet, that Corey just brought up, is one of the most underrated movies ever, and they really screwed up with the marketing of that movie because originally it was supposed to be Live, Die, Repeat, and then they changed it right before it went into theaters to Edge of Tomorrow, which got everybody confused because they had seen trailers for a completely separate, different movie. They didn't know what they were going to see, so it bombed at the box office. But it was a fantastic movie. I'm really hoping that eventually they will do a part 2, and I think they might. But Tom Cruise was just stuck up with Top Gun 2 for like 5 freaking years because he wanted to figure out how to fly a freaking military jet to do the freaking stunt. So it cost them a lot more money and a lot more time for him to actually fly a military jet. So hopefully they'll make a part 2. But yeah, I think The Shining closest one, in my opinion, to a perfect movie.
Okay. Perfect movie. So most enjoyable theater experience I have ever had would have to be Avengers: Infinity War.
My most enjoyable experience in the theater was seeing Star Trek Into Darkness.
Now, Corey's a Star Trek guy. How do you feel about that?
J.J. Abrams. I watched it. This was my first time ever seeing an IMAX movie. I was in the very center of the movie, and I was like, holy shit.
So you know how I felt about that movie? When you watch an action movie, and inside the action movie is another movie that they're watching on TV or something, and it's over the top ridiculous. That's how I felt about like when you watch like fucking Last Action Hero with Schwarzenegger, and they're like, it's so over the top action movie within the movie. Like that's what I felt about like Star Trek, because I love Star Trek, but they were like superstar cast with the perfect hair and fucking they were totally interracial and DEI, and like it was like, oh my god, like
not diversity, equity, and inclusion. They had that in there.
Oh god, yes. So they had O'Hara fucking a Vulcan, okay? So that was a weird one for me, because that wasn't how the original story went. She kissed Captain Kirk, and that was the big deal.
Oh, okay. So, I got you. Yes, I told Corey is a master of multiple arts. Okay, Corey knows the stuff. Okay, about all this. All right, so we're gonna get the drum roll going.
Hang on, we got clarification. So, are we judging this movie or the whole movie as a whole, or just this one?
You talking about? Are we judging the Dune universe?
Yes.
The two movies?
Just this movie.
Just this one.
Just this. Okay. We need a drum roll again.
Oh.
8.5.
8.5. Ryder.
9.
7.6.
You can't 0.6 it. We do 0.5s or 0.0s. You don't do 0.6s.
Look, man, I'm going off. I look at IMDb ratings, okay, and they got 0.3s and 0.8s and shit. Doggone it, it's Showtime with the key, right? It's Showtime with the key. My God, people. All right, so that's Dune Part 2. This is actually a good watch. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Well, actually, we've had a couple of good watches.
I will say this much.
Right here recently.
It did feel long in the movie. Like, I'm sitting there going, Jesus Christ, I'd like to go do a dab or something. Like, you got to have the attention span.
It's the middle section of the movie. It's the second act of the movie that just kind of like
rolls along a little bit slow.
Yeah, you're like, just get there. You know what I'm saying? So it's the second act that kind of, it's not a lot's happening. It's like people standing and looking at each other. But that's okay. You know, I mean, that's what it is. You got people, they just standing and looking at each other. And Villeneuve said that. He's like, I want the movie to breathe, and I'm not very good with dialogue. So a lot of times, folks just didn't, because it reminded me, I didn't even realize it, that he directed Blade Runner 2049, because it felt just like that movie. Folks standing and looking at each other. I'm like, are y'all niggas going to say something today? Y'all need to say something, man, or you need to move on, all right, or get out the room. It's just, who was in there? Ryan Gosling? No, was that Jake Gyllenhaal? Who was that? It was Ryan Gosling, wasn't it? Is it Blade Runner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yeah, he just standing around looking at folks. I'm just like, Ryan Gosling, do something, man. But I didn't even realize it. And then somebody's like, well, yeah, he did Blade Runner 2049. I said, that's it. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? I knew it. So yeah, the second act is it's like really slow. It's really slow pace, but it is worth a watch. Okay, we've got Ryder and Corey who are watching the IMAX. They said that's the best experience. So if you're able to do that particular experience, if you have it in your area, please go do that. We've got more stuff coming your way. Hopefully, Ryder will join us on a few of these things. You know what I'm saying?
What you guys doing next? What's the next one?
I think we may actually, Corey, I was thinking about going through the Equalizer series as far as Denzel, and we can kind of break those down and see which one was our favorite one out of the three, because I
haven't seen the new one yet.
It's okay.
So the three,
it's exactly what you expect. He gets pissed off and go kill a bunch of people for
Yeah, there's three.
They harassed a bum or something silly.
Here's the key thing about the Equalizer: you can watch the third one, then you can watch the first one, then you can watch the second one. You don't have to watch them in any order. They are 3 Totally different movies.
So here's one thing I want to say. I've completely come to the realization that these people, like in these movies, like John Wick and The Equalizer, and these guys who are like super badass ex-Green Berets, they don't exist. There's no such thing. Okay, like there are none of these bad motherfuckers who can fuck you up 3 ways from Sunday and throw
Oh,
a
you
knife.
mean like the beekeeper?
Yeah, these people don't exist. This is a creation of Hollywood. So
Yeah, and that's fine though. But we'd like to think they do.
right.
Usually, it's just some local thug that they pay $500. It's like, hey, when they walk by you, just shoot them. Oh, okay. It's just like they're gonna walk by you right here, and then you just shoot.
And it's
them.
amazing. It's like no consequences. Like I don't know if you saw Reacher this season, but like that motherfucker killed like 50 people. Like whatever.
Didn't you say in the first season he was like more caring?
Yeah, he was. He was
than
a nice guy, and if he shot you, he felt bad. But now this fucking second season, he just went off the hook and just started murdering everybody. People who like barely even didn't deserve it.
He said, "I got to murder everybody." I did actually watch. What is it? The Damsel, which was a new one on Netflix. I watched that.
I'm getting ready to watch that. I'm gonna watch that tonight. Actually.
I ain't gonna lie to you, it was pretty good.
I started watching it, but I can't find a copy that's not in like Norwegian. Like all of the ones I got are dubbed.
Shit. It was actually pretty good. It's got a plot twist and everything.
I'll watch it. Let's do a show on that that's coming up.
Okay, yeah. So we can do Damsel. Ryder, we'll send you a couple things whenever Last of Us season 2 comes out, because we know Corey doesn't want to watch that. I mean, you'll have to do it.
Yeah.
So we did season 1.
Oh man, I cannot wait for Last of Us season 2. Dude.
Yeah,
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, so we got that.
Give us more gay shit. We need more gay shit. Last of Us.
Probably need to catch up on some House of
Season
Dragon.
2.
We got plenty of stuff coming y'all's way. I'm gonna watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We'll probably watch it this week because the second one's coming out.
It's not bad.
The second one's coming out, and they got $1 million budget on the second one. This first movie was only $50,000. Second one, they give $1 million. Oh! We got to tell the people what Dune's made so far. As of today, they have made $434.8 million USD.
Oh yeah, it'll hit $1 billion.
As of today,
it'll hit $1 billion for sure.
What's the worldwide on it?
Let's see. Oh, that's the global total.
400. A little.
Yeah,
this one will stay in. This one will stay in theaters for another couple months.
Yeah, it only made 110 in the US so far. So globally, it's actually a hit.
Globally, it'll rack up over $1 billion. I'm sure. If it doesn't, it's going to come really close. It'll probably might peter out around the low 800 millions.
Do you think we'll have another $1 billion movie this year?
No.
They had a couple of them last year. They had Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Hell yeah, we will, Corey. Deadpool Wolverine is going to get $1 billion.
You think?
For sure, 100%.
Okay, I'm calling right now. That movie's going to be a 6.5 cubes.
It's a 6.5. There's no doubt about it. There's no about it. All right, guys. We appreciate everybody for checking us out. From your boy HQ420, we got Corey Hughes, the powerful one. We got the infamous one, Ryder Lee. We'll catch y'all in the next Showtime with the Key. Peace out.